Ta-da! Hello, hello. Good evening. How y'all doing? Oh, welcome. Whoa. I'm so tired. You know, usually... Oh, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. I hope you're good. Usually I sit here waiting for the music to stop and like finishing up my last few things before stream because I can never quite get everything done in time. But I've been sitting here for the past 5 minutes, just like keeping my eyes open, slow blinking the entire time, like, wow, what is happening? Good morning, how you doing? No, I'm good. How about you? I'm tired though. I'm tired as all hell, but otherwise I'm good. I had some dinner and I had a burgie. I had a burgie and I ate the burgie with ketchup, and I sure did not have eaten the ketchup because my body does not like ketchup, but I like ketchup. So, but other than that, we're good. Sleepy stream. It's always a sleepy stream. Up in this bitch, it's always a sleepy stream. You're also very tired post-COVID. Aw, man. But at least you're testing negative now. You still have like symptoms. You still need to keep staying at home. That was a double whammy. Bleh. I can't talk. It's very unfortunate that this game does not have any sound on its main screen aside from when you actually press buttons. But that's alright. That is okay. I am not quite sure. I said this on Sunday when we started this game, or like when we were about to finish this game. I'm like, I don't know how much we still have left to do. Like, we could be done with this game in the next half an hour. I'm kind of hoping we're not done in the next half hour because, frankly, I did not really plan ahead if I had any other games I could play afterwards. I do. I have many games, but like I did not plan ahead. So we're just gonna hope that this game actually has a bunch more to it. We stopped right before we were about to walk into the house of the guy who apparently, I forget his name, but who apparently had his little side piece hostess from the Philippines live in, who also apparently was the roommate of a college girl, and now one of them is definitely dead. She was found dead. The other one has not been found. So my best bet is that they both died somewhere either inside of that specific house, and now they're trying to haunt him. On the other hand, maybe they did not actually die in there, but it's just the one place there, the souls are kind of tethered to or something. I have no clue. We're just gonna jump right in and see what is happening. It's a good thing this game is voiced. This was the first thing Uchiyama-san said as we crossed over the threshold into the Koyama house. I heard Dagi couldn't answer from behind me. As for myself, I was feeling rather intimidated following along behind Uchiyama-san. The Koyama residence was by no means cramped. It was every bit as fancy as one might expect from the home of a real estate a mogul? The front porch alone looked to be about the same size as my office back home. And from there, the front door opened into a foyer that was about the size of an average bedroom. Ahead lay a staircase to the second floor with bedroom doors on either side. The hallway was caked in a thin layer of dust. Per Mitsuya-san's request, we paused to change out of our shoes and into the provided guest slippers. There is no one living in this house. There's also no one cleaning this house, but oh no, you need to take off your shoes. Listen, I'm also someone who always takes off their shoes when in my own house, in other people's houses, but there's no one actively living here or cleaning this place. Okay. She had said the layout of the house was fairly straightforward, but there was no telling how accurate that was until we saw it for
さて
ourselves.
どこから行きましょうかね。総当たりしかないでしょうが時間もないし一人ずつ行きますか。
I'd rather not split up if you're dealing with fantastical beings such as ghosts. I have not seen many horror movies, but every time someone suggests you split up, someone ends up dead.
それはさすがに。
Yeah. Uchiyama-san seemed fairly casual about it, but I shook my head. Dagakun reached out and gently took my
じ
hand.
ゃあ俺はカエさんと内山さんは一人でってことでどうですか。
Whoo! Wasn't he scared at the prospect of being all alone in here? And yet Uchiyama-san nodded without
いいですよ
hesitation.
じゃあどう分けましょうかね。
三江さんの話だとご主人の書斎や夫婦の寝室は2階にあるそうです。
Hmm.
ただそういった場所に隠すかどうかは謎ですけど。
Uchiyama-san looked up at the ceiling and murmured
あれ
pensively.
だけ奥さんを怖がってるみたいでしたからね。分かりやすいところには隠さないかもしれませんけど1階はリビングや応接
I
間程
hate
度
the
ですかね。
clock ticking noise.
リビング、ダイニング。
I think this is the same sound effect they used for the other
Ah,
clock ticking as well, and that already ticked me off. Haha. Ticked me off.
怪しいとしたら応接間。
I know it's not like, you know, I'm only using one headphone. I only have one headphone in at all times. So everything of the game, I'm hearing in one side only. It's like, I promptly shook my head.
そういうところは主婦が確実に掃除に入る場所でしょ。見つかる可能性も高いわ。
そういう意味じゃ家中どこもそうでしょう。じゃあ俺とカエさんは2階で内山さんは1階でどうですか。2人で探した方が分かりそうな場所は2階でしょうから。
Again, Uchiyama-san nodded without
じゃ
hesitation.
あ一応30分後に玄関ポーチに集合ってことにしましょう。何か見つかったらその都度大声で叫ぶってことで。
叫ぶんですか。
家が広いですからね。別に携帯でもいいですよ。
Oh, I forget. What year does this
わかり
game
ました。
take place in?
じゃあカエさん行きましょう。
So I've decided it is modern enough, but urged on by Dagakun, I headed for the stairs. The house appeared to be rather solidly built, but unfortunately, the lack of regular maintenance was starting to take its toll. It came out in 2008 or something, and it got a like this upgraded version here in 18. Yeah, they had cell phones. That makes sense. The stairs creaked under my weight. At the top lay a dark hallway with 3 doors. The hallway itself continued on to the right. Perhaps there were more doors further
さ
down.
てじゃあ片っ端から行きましょうか。
With that, Dagakun opened the closest door. My heart skipped a beat. I hadn't mentally prepared myself to start so soon. The door swung open to reveal a walk-in closet. The racks were lined with expensive brand name items, and I could see a vintage Polovnia wood wardrobe in the back, possibly for storing kimonos.
ここは
Wow.
奥さんの衣装部屋かな。
Walk-in closets do sound fun, but like, who actually has the space for those?
そうみたいね。
じゃあここにはないかな。
Few men would dare set foot in a woman's closet, much less men of President Koyama's age. There was always the possibility, of course, but it was a meager one at best.
そうね。ここはありえないかもしれないわね。
There was another door in the closet. Judging from the layout of the hallway, it seemed to lead into the next room over. Having seemingly given up on searching this room, Dagakun promptly put his hand on the doorknob and opened it.
ねえ、大吾くん。怖くないの？
I called out to him as he stepped into the next room, and he responded without so much as a glance back.
怖いってば。怖がってても何もわからないから。
Yeah. The sooner you get it over with, the easier it'll be.
それはそうだけど。
Hesitantly, I followed him through the door into what appeared to be a bedroom. There were 2 beds. Sheets had been cast over the wardrobe and chest of drawers. A small table set between the beds, reminiscent of a classy hotel
軽く
room.
探してみようか。
I nodded.
ドレッサーはまず可能性薄いから、ベッドから探しましょうか。
I mean, funnily enough, I will not tell you what book for fear of accidentally spoiling someone on the ending of the book, but I finished reading a book recently. Well, on Monday, to be exact. I finished reading a book on Monday, and like, murder mystery as well, kind of. And in the end, they found, by chance, they found the murder weapon hidden in the mattress. Like stuffed into the mattress. And what kept fucking me up about it, it's not a bad hiding place. God knows it's not a bad hiding place, especially for like accidentally murdered someone, need to get rid of the weapon right now. But the murder weapon was only really quickly cleaned, so there was still blood on it, right? There was blood on it, and they kept the murder weapon, which was some kind of fish hook, a giant fish hook thingy. They kept that in the mattress for several months. Like over the course of summer until early winter. No, actually later. Like over half a year. And you think maybe if there's still blood on it, it's going to start reeking. Especially if you put that into your mattress that you are still sleeping on. And no one noticed. No one cleaned it. It's like... Okay, I guess.
そうだね。
The room was furnished rather plainly. The beds and table were the only decent hiding spots I could see. As for the wardrobe, well, chances were he wouldn't have hidden it in any spot that the wife was likely to
あ
interact
ります
with.
それらしいものはな。
こっちもです。
The plain furnishings helped speed our search right along. Our time was limited, so we opened the door to the hallway and left the room. Just then, Daigo-kun came to a
ど
stop.
うしたの？
いや、今ドアが閉まる音がしませんでした。
Uh-oh. I paused to listen, but to no avail.
何も聞こえないけど、内山さんじゃないの？
It wouldn't be all that surprising to overhear some noise from him poking around below us. The dark hallway stretched on past the stairs, and I could see a single door at the end. It seemed foreboding somehow. I quickly averted my
2
gaze.
階のような気がしたんだけどな。
Goosebumps pricked up on my arms.
変なこと言わないでよ。
次行きましょうか。
Maybe he'd managed to creep himself out too. With resignation in his tone, he opened the door to the next room. Evidently, it was a study. Oh, I could never keep books like that. Why would you put the books like that? Oh. The room was massive, nearly the size of a studio apartment, with 5 or so bookshelves and a large impressive desk. There were a few filing cabinets as well. Evidently, the man had done his work in here at
こ
some
こは
point.
探しがいがありそうですね。
そうね。
Rather than waste time digging through each bookshelf individually, we checked only the most likely spots, but turned up empty-handed. There was just too much to look
こ
through.
こ30分くらいじゃ無理なんじゃない？
I could hear the defeat in my own voice. Fortunately, Daigo-kun seemed to agree.
後日改めて来た方がいいかもしれませんね。何日かかけるつもりで。
Just then his voice trailed off. I glanced over to find him frozen in
どう
place.
したの？
He pressed a finger to his lips in a quiet gesture, and I listened carefully. I like how they make it so the sound effects always come into the screen a little differently. I heard him suck in a breath. Dimly I remember the fear in Mitsuyo-san's eyes. The footsteps and door sounds were drawing closer. Before I knew it, I was clutching Daigo-kun's shirt. I drew myself close to him, careful not to make a sound. The footsteps were heading in the direction of the study. Then they came to a stop just outside the door.
黙って。
The door slowly opened.
何か見つかりました？
And there stood Uchiyama-san looking as unruffled as ever. Motherfucker!
内山さん。
びっくりした。
We both clutched at our chests and heaved loud sighs of relief. Meanwhile, Uchiyama-san stared blankly at us.
なんですよ。2人して変な顔して。
いや、内山さんだとは思わなかったんで。
I felt the tension drain from Daigo-kun's shoulders. Meanwhile, I wiped the sweat from my brow.
まさか幽霊とでも思ったんですか？そんなバカな。
Grinning wryly, Uchiyama-san stepped into the room. Strange. I could have sworn I saw a shadow behind him. I rubbed my
どうした
eyes.
のカイさん。
いや別に。
On second glance, there was no shadow to be found. Maybe it was just a door. You've already been subject to a ghost trying to kind of kill you in your sleep, but must have imagined it. I don't get these people. Like something bad and supernatural has already happened to you, but yet when something seems weird to you, they always go, must have been nothing, must have been the wind, must have been my imagination. Like, are you stupid? I called out to Uchiyama-san.
何か見つかりました？
いいえ、さっぱりです。応接間の天袋まで見ましたけどね。
I noticed a spider web caught in his hair. I plucked it off for him and he inclined his head in thanks. Then I saw a spider crawling on his head and sweeped it off for him as well.
2階はどうですか？
I sighed.
まだ何も。今書斎を調べてたんです
This
けど。
guy was not even bothered that he had a spider on his head. I gazed around at the furnishings and he nodded in understanding.
確かにここは一苦労しそうですね。
日を改めた方がいいと思うんですけどね。30分じゃ無理ですよ。
Uchiyama-san frowned.
通夜には遅れるってさっき電話を入れたんで時間はいいんですけど。
Oh.
先に一回りしましょうか。奥は見てないんでしょ？
Evidently he was referring to whatever lay beyond the door at the end of the hall.
ええ、書斎で止まってましたから。
The perfect for video game gods. Partners missing off the strange cells must have been the way. Right? Oh, I saw a TikTok video some time ago of two guys kind of pretending to be. I'm not sure if it was Skyrim gods or the game before Skyrim. And it's like it was so funny because two people were guards and one of them was sneaking up on them. And then the one guy like was stabbed and fell down. The other one turns around and is like, "What was that?" Must have been the wind. And like in the end, like keeps running into the other guy's corpse, who's ragdolling on the ground. It was so good, so good. Daiki-kun shook his head and Uchiyama-san glanced
じゃあ
down the
まず
hall.
は奥を見てみましょうよ。それでどこを重点に探すか決めましょう。
I wish I could have been into something like Skyrim, but I own it, but the one time I tried playing it, I immediately ran into the wrong direction after you get to control your character. And then when I actually found where I was supposed to be going, I knew I should not do anything to the chickens because otherwise everyone will try to kill you, but I must have apparently done something to one of the chickens because everyone was trying to kill me, and they managed to kill me, and then I never started the game again. Neither myself nor Dagi-kun had any argument. Together the three of us left the study and headed down the dimly lit corridor to the large door at the end.
しかし、なんでこんなに薄暗いんですかね。
いやー、窓はありますよ。ほら。
Uchiyama-san pointed to a spot on the wall. There a window pane appeared. All at once sunlight streamed into the hallway.
なんで？
Uchiyama-san grinned
壁
knowingly.
と同じ素材を使って窓を隠す仕掛けはよくあるんですよ。
What?
光を一切通さないから暗幕代わりに企業の研修室なんかに使われることが多いんですけどね。
どうしてここがそうだって知ってたんですか？
外から見た時にここに窓があったから。
That would explain it. As perhaps befitting of a journalist, his powers of observation far outstripped my own. Daiki-kun reached the door first and promptly stopped
廊
short.
下も明るくなってちょっと雰囲気が良くなったことだし入りましょうよ。
His hand was already on the doorknob. Admittedly, he had a point. We couldn't spend all day cooing over a hidden window setup. I glanced at Uchiyama-san and we hurried over to the
じゃ
door.
あ最後の部屋に入りましょ
With that, Daiki-kun pulled the door open. Beyond it lay a spacious open area. Ooh,
ここって一体。
プレイルームですね。
a pretty room. As he answered, Daiki-kun walked inside. Uchiyama-san followed him in, and I followed last. The room was easily larger than the study and almost certainly larger than my entire apartment. I could see a pool table, a dartboard, and a fully stocked home bar with shelves of liquor bottles and glasses lining the walls.
すごい。
う。金はうなるほどあったらしいですからね。
I wandered curiously around the room. The flooring was a different color in here. Then I noticed a large stain on the floor behind the pool
これ
table.
何かしら？
Uchiyama-san walked over to me. He looked at the stain and up at the
こ
ceiling.
こ社長が自殺した場所ですね。
Oh.
社長が自殺した？
Bloody suicide. Real estate CEO found dead in apparent suicide. M City Mabara. Real estate CEO Koyama. Is that an M? What? But that's not a name. Age 67 was found hanging in his house earlier this morning. His wife Koyama Fumi found him in his bedroom unconscious and with a rope around his neck. Evidence of a physical struggle at the scene has led detectives to investigate the possibility of a homicide in addition to suicide, police said. As CEO of a local real estate agency, Koyama maintained a significant number of interpersonal connections. Neighbors claim he had complicated personal circumstances and could often be heard shouting at his wife. Police say they plan to investigate his acquaintances for potential suspects. Need exposure? Leave it to us. Get your ad seen by thousands guaranteed. Right under a bloody suicide. Okay. Sure. Okay. Daiki-kun stared down at the stain for a moment.
でも社長って自分の部屋で亡くなったんじゃ。
Ushiyama-san smiled slightly.
この部屋を見たらわかるでしょう。ここは男の趣味が詰まってます。ここ
He had
が
a
社
point.
長の部屋だったんですよ。
Unlike the study, which was clearly furnished for work purposes only, the rec room was brimming with a boyish sense of wonder. At the same time, however, it carried a certain mature refinement. I could easily see it being his personal room.
それに、あれを見てみてくださいよ。
Uchiyama-san indicated a small door in the far corner of the room. We opened it to find a thin metal staircase that led out into the
こうい
courtyard.
う出入り口を作りたがるのは、この部
Wow,
屋で
and
落ち着きたかったからじゃない
This
ですか
man
ね
had too much money. He had his entire side entrance in his house.
なるほど。
Daiki-kun and I nodded and turned back to find Uchiyama-san standing on the stain.
気持ち悪くないんですか。
But Uchiyama-san ignored him and
この
continued.
上、ご覧なさい。
In
太い
his
梁がある
request,
で
I
しょ
looked up, and sure enough, there were several wooden ceiling beams that ran from wall to wall, affording the room a sort of log cabin aesthetic. On closer inspection, I noticed there was a ceiling fan right above
社
him.
長が首を通したロープはあの梁から通ってファンに巻きついていたの
He knows a lot about this.
足元にはファンのリモコンと散らばったカード、
Hmm.
そして社長の汚物。
An icy drop of sweat trickled down my spine. Uchiyama-san took a step back from the stain as he carried on, almost
壁
enraptured.
のあちこちにダーツの矢が刺さり、球は折れたまま台の上。ファンはまだ動いていて、社長の足は発見されたその時までブラブラと揺れていた。
I'm surprised the fan actually held out that long. Like, I don't know how much power they have, but if an entire person's weight is hanging onto it,
まるで見てきたように言うんですね。
Daiki-kun's dry comment brought me back to reality.
とにかくめぼしいところを探してみましょうよ。いくら時間ができたとは言っても、そうゆっくりもしてられないでしょ。
More accurately, I didn't want to be in here a single second longer than necessary.
そうですね。じゃあ私はバーを探す。
I don't know. He does sound like he was there, but I doubt he was actually there, and like either he really just read everything that would, you know, the police would give out about it, or something is kind of in control of his body right now and going, hee, I was there. I thought Uchiyama-san headed over to the counter. Meanwhile, Daiki-kun silently walked off in the direction of the dartboard on the wall. That left me with the pool table area. Careful to avoid the stain as much as possible, I began my search. The table itself was handsomely crafted from solid oak. Despite my thorough examination, however, I came up empty-handed. The surface was scratched here and there. If what Uchiyama-san said was true, then perhaps the marks were from Koyama hitting the table with his cue. Goosebumps pricked up on my arms. Steering my train of thought away, I forced myself to focus on the search at hand. Next, I moved on to the area surrounding the table. Come to think of it, aristocrats in olden days used to build cigar cases into their pool tables. Perhaps the table's design was suited to accommodate little compartments like that. Meanwhile, as I admired the elegant curves of the table legs, I felt something bump against my hip. What was that? Confused, I straightened my posture. Again, something bumped into my hip, harder this time. Across the room, I could see Uchiyama-san over by the bar counter. Must be Daigo-kun.
何大吾くん、何か見つけ
Find something. But before I could finish, I saw something hanging right in front of me. It swung around in my direction and I stepped back to avoid it.
カエさん何？うわ
Daigo-kun's voice sounded so distant. The fan was twitching and rattling loudly. Its spin was hindered by a rope wrapped around its blades. All at once, an overpowering putrid stench filled the air. Bile rose in my throat with my scream. His eyeballs bulged and his tongue lolled out, saliva dripping down his neck. The saliva had soaked the collar of his polo shirt and his well-cut slacks were soiled with excrement. Oh. There was no mistaking it. It was President Koyama's corpse. I scrambled backwards on the floor, desperate to get away, and inadvertently slammed myself into the pool table. I couldn't understand. How could it be here? Clutching my head, I curled up in a fetal position under the table. Then I heard loud footsteps, and the next thing I knew, the door to the rec room flew
どう
open.
しました？
I knew it! See? It wasn't the actual... It was Uchiyama-san.
内山さん？え？
Daigo-kun's voice shot up an octave in
な
alarm.
んです？何があったんです？
Tough?
あそこに社長の首吊りしたいか。あれ？
Daigo-kun whimpered
あ
feebly.
れ？カエさん、社長の死体は？
Timidly, I raised my head. Now that he mentioned it, the smell was gone too. I slowly looked up at the ceiling, but the gruesome corpse was nowhere to be found. The fan wasn't moving. All that remained was a single dried stain on the floor.
どういうこと？
Dumbfounded, Daigo-kun and I stared at each other for a moment as Uchiyama-san walked
1
over.
階をあらかた探したところでちょうど悲鳴が聞こえたもんだから社長の首吊り死体を見ちゃったんですか？
He sounded a little overly enthusiastic. The two of us blinked back at him.
ちょっと待って。今までバーカウンターを調べてたじゃん。
バーカウンター？私が？
Uchiyama-san stared back in disbelief, and it didn't seem like an act.
じゃあ今まで一緒にいた内山さんは？
Daigo-kun looked over at me. All I could do was shake my head. If it wasn't Uchiyama-san, then who was it that told us all the grisly details of Koyama's death? I couldn't stop shaking.
とにかく出ましょう。これ以上こんなところにはいられない。
でも何か見つかりました？
何も見つかりませんでしたけど、俺もカエさんももう無理ですよ。
Daigo-kun walked over to me and offered a hand, which I gratefully accepted. As he helped me up, however, my shoulder slammed into the table.
あ、大丈夫。
I turned back to look at what I'd hit and noticed a section
ちょ
jutting
っと
out.
待って。
Ha ha! By chance! We're going to find it by chance. I gingerly pulled out on the protrusion and it swung open to reveal a little drawer.
それ
Drawer.
もしかして。
Drawer. I heard Daigo-kun's nervous voice from behind me. I opened the drawer to find a single dusty key inside. I pulled it out and brushed away the dust. It looked eerily similar to a Châtelet Romain house key.
もしかして。
I stood up and turned around to find the other two staring down at my
間
hand.
違いないでしょうね。
Uchiyama-san was the first to
こんな
speak.
ところにしまい込んでるんだ。俺も間違いないと思いますよ。
そうだよね。
Just then, the room shook. It was no earthquake, rather, it felt like the air itself was shifting. That's a long sound! Oh, I guess it's just part of the background music now. A loud guttural sound, somewhere between a growl and a scream, pierced my eardrums.
出よ
I didn't care what anyone else had to say. With that, the three of us scrambled out of the Koyama house like our lives depended on it. As we headed to the candlelight vigil to drop off Uchiyama-san, the three of us discussed our next move. Uchiyama-san asked us not to take action without him since he'd gone out of his way to share his leads with us, so we agreed not to use the key until first thing tomorrow morning. Besides, neither of us were exactly chomping at the bit to go into that apartment at night anyway. As we pulled into the parking lot of the funeral hall, Uchiyama-san warned us
いい
again.
ですね。抜け駆けはなしですよ。
分かってますって。
My dad Uchiyama-san wandered off into the funeral hall, shooting us furtive glances as he left. I shifted the car into gear. Just then, I heard a tap on my window. I looked over to find a familiar young man standing there. As I rolled down my window, trying to remember where I'd seen him, he started to speak.
翔子のお姉さんでしょ。こんなところで何を。
Now I remembered. It was Koichi-kun, Shoko's boyfriend.
内山さんと出てたのよ。光一くんこそなんで？
Dressed in various shades of black, Koichi-kun looked exhausted. He sighed.
会社の人が亡くなりまして。安藤さんってうちのライターなんですけどね。
あ、そうか。光一くんもミスティ出版に行ったんだっけ？内山さんに聞いたけど大変そうね。
はい。そうじゃなくても最近うちの会社に関連してる人が立て続けに亡くなってて。
それは大変ね。
My throat felt unpleasantly itchy for some reason. Maybe there was more to this than I thought. Did Shoko know about what happened today? As I contemplated this, Koichi-kun looked up in alarm.
じゃあすいません。そろそろ行かなきゃいけないんで。
うん、分かった。光一くん、気をつけてね。
ありがとうございます。
He bowed politely, then dashed off in a hurry. I watched him go, then pulled out of the parking lot. And he felt the need to stop us. Why? It was already nearly dusk by the time we got home. The dim light of the setting sun afforded the complex a quiet sense of foreboding. Dagakun hopped out of the car and heaved a
あれ
sigh.
見ちゃったら家に帰るのも怖くなりますね。
Mood. Was he referring to Koyama's corpse or Uchiyama-san's doppelganger? Neither option was particularly pleasant. Looking up at the apartment building, I sighed too. Then I fished Koyama's secret key out of my pocket and compared it to my own house key.
本当にここの鍵なのかしら。
There was no guarantee it was actually a key to 202. Part of me hoped it was, but another part of me sincerely hoped it wasn't. Since we'd gone to all the trouble to obtain it, I hoped it would be the key, literally, to learning the truth. But at the same time, I was terrified of finding out.
確かめてみる。
Before I knew it, Dagakun was standing next to me, peering over my shoulder at the key in my hand.
でも内山さんと約束したし。
確かめるだけだよ。入ったりしない。
Yeah, you say that now, but he was usually easygoing expression.
もうすぐ夜よ。
I really wouldn't.
鍵が使えるかどうか確かめるだけに夜も夕方もある？
No. The memory of the ghostly pale hand flashed through the back of my
大
mind.
丈夫ですよ。多分。
You're not sure? If you're not sure it's gonna be fine, then don't fucking do it, especially not late at night.
多分って言われたら不安になるわ。
Please.
じゃあ俺が一人で行きます。それならいいで
That's
しょ。
even worse. No acting independently. Oh, I'll just go on my own. What the fuck?
よくないわよ。
As I lost my temper, Daigo-kun suddenly glanced across the parking
大
lot.
家さんが見てる。
The next moment, I heard the sound of a window sliding shut from the direction of the landlady's house. Was she keeping tabs on us? No, I was just overthinking it. Or so I hoped anyway.
また俺が鍵を刺すから。
Maybe don't do it, especially if you now know that the landlady's watching you.
まあ
Dagakun plucked the key from my palm. Deja vu. He promptly headed into the building, and I hastily followed after him. Oh, they wrote doppelganger with an "eh," but they did not bother to write deja vu with the proper. I see. New stream time. Hi, weird. Good evening. How are you?
本当に入らないのよね。
さすがにその勇気は出ないでしょ。
What if the ghost grabs your arm, huh? What then? Not after what we'd seen. He didn't say it, but I knew that was what he meant. He strode past my apartment and stopped in front of the door to 202. The crimson light of the sunset streamed into the hall, just as it had when we investigated 203. A little stressed. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you'll be less stressed soon. I'm good. I'm just tired. As always. Over his shoulder, the sky was painted a vivid
じゃ
scarlet.
あ刺すよ。
ねえ、怖くないの？
He helps you too. I felt like I'd asked the question 100 times by now, and I knew he'd probably say the same thing, but I had to ask. I had to. You feeling better since the last time? Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah. Way better. That was just a very awful Monday, for sure. Oh, excuse me. I'm good now. Daikon put the tip of the key against the keyhole and stopped and looked at me for a long moment.
カエさんはどうして俺と一緒にいるの？
It was an entirely unexpected question, and I found myself at a loss for words. Instead, I simply stared down at the key in his hand.
怖いなら俺を置いていけばいい。
I am not going to walk away, my good dude. Otherwise, you're going to end up dead. He had a point. I could run away at any time. He would probably let me take his house key.
それでもここにいるのは知りたいからでしょ？
Well, yeah. All I could do was shake my head. No, he was completely
自
right.
分が置かれた理不尽な状況をあやふやにしたくない。できれば解決したい。
I was
だか
just
ら動くしかない。
excuse me. I watched as the key typo. I watched as the key slid into the lock with a loud click. But for some reason, Dagger couldn't seem to turn it.
あれ？
Oh, maybe it's not actually the key. Maybe it's a key for a different house, room, whatever. What's his neighbor game? It is a horror mystery visual novel from 2008, if I remember correctly, but it got a remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, in 2018, which now is voiced, probably got some upgrades done to it as well. And the main character, Yuki, the girl, has just moved into this apartment, and the apartment next to her has weird stuff happening. There's banging on the walls. When she moved in, she saw a pale, ghostly hand come out of there, and apparently no one lives there. And in all of the rooms adjacent to it, like every room that shares a wall, be it above, below, or on the sides, people don't stay there for very long because they're getting haunted by whatever it is that is in there. And the landlady's like, no, there's nothing in there. I can't rent out this place, blah, blah, blah. And what we know by now is apparently a college girl that lived in here some years ago died. And the guy we're currently walking around with, he's living right above us. So the room that is haunted is 202. We live in 201, and the guy we're with lives in 301. And his sister was living in 201 before, and she lost her mind. Like literally, she's in the hospital now because she couldn't take it anymore. Because the ghost or whatever it is in there, it keeps coming through the wall and is banging on the walls and on the doors. Just, being a nuisance kind of, but like in a very spooky way. And it's already happening to us as well. And we're trying to find out what the reason for that is. And we now know that apparently the landladies, they're related somehow, but the landlady is related to a guy who owns a bunch of buildings in this area. And apparently he had a side piece, who was a hostess here, and according to rumors, he kept her here, living here, and she went back to the Philippines, but that doesn't seem likely. And the college girl that lived in there before is also dead, and the landlord, the guy himself, has killed himself. And now everyone is like, oh, they're getting haunted, blah, 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 blah. And we just came back from visiting his old house where he also killed himself in. And we found a key that looks to be belong to this building because it's the same as our house key. And that's why we're trying to get into the room right now to check if it fits. And apparently it does not fit. But that begs the question, where does it fit?
回らないの?
In response to my question, he jiggled the key over and over. The lock rattled but refused to budge. Instantly, I heaved a sigh of relief and felt the tension drain from my body.
ここの鍵じゃなかったんだ。
みたいだね。 やれやれ。
Looking conflicted, Daigukun pulled the key from the lock and began to toss it into the air, catching it in his
案
palm.
外隣の部屋の鍵だったりしてね。
まさか。
だってここのアパートの鍵には似てるで
It
しょ。
does look like one of our keys. His tone had lightened considerably, and I felt a small smile creep up on my
ちょっ
lips.
と刺してみようかな。
Jokingly, he walked over to 203.
やめなさいって。どうせ開かないんだから。
Sure enough, the lock rattled in place, and Daigukun slumped his shoulders. No dice. Next, he turned back and walked past me to
開い
201.
たら笑い話だね。
That would be mighty scary because that would mean there's a key out there somewhere in the world that can open my door.
だから開かないってば。
Chuckling, he inserted the key. And then the key turned, and the lock clicked open. Ha ha! Funny!
どういうこと？
I dashed over to the door to double check. Daigukun turned the key back and forth, locking and unlocking the door. Had I given him the wrong key by mistake? I dug in my pocket and pulled out my key ring with my house key still
こ
attached.
の鍵201のだったんだ。
But Daigukun didn't respond. Instead, he pulled the key out of the lock, slipped it into his pocket, and walked into my apartment.
大悟くん。
I called out to him, but he didn't stop. He kicked his shoes off at the door, then headed into the main room, and I chased after him. Meanwhile, he headed straight for the balcony. Once outside, he crouched down beside the partition wall where I'd previously witnessed a ghastly
ねえ大
hand.
悟くん。どうしたの？
いや、ちょっと確かめたいことがあったんだけど。やっぱりだ。
Out on the balcony, the twilight was fading into dusk. I moved behind Daigukun and watched his hands move. He pressed ever so lightly against the lower half of the wall, and it swung open like a door.
もしかして隠し通路？
My fear forgotten, I peered through the opening into 202's balcony. I hadn't noticed the hinges on the bottom half of the partition until just now. Uh-oh. Out of nowhere, something struck the window and I let out a shriek.
カイさん。
Daigukun immediately peered through the opening with me and froze. A woman was pressed up against the glass. I couldn't make out most of her face, but I could see her mouth. I twisted in a furious snarl. Her hair was a tousled mess, and she slammed both hands against the pane like she was trying to break it. Together we scrambled out of 201 and into the hall. As he moved to close the door, he looked over at 202 and sucked in a breath. He began to shake and I quickly followed his gaze. The door to 202 was open and long strands of hair were flowing out from inside. I couldn't see the woman herself, just strands of wavy hair fluttering peacefully in the wind. That was all it took to strike terror into my heart.
大悟くん。
Daigukun flinched as I called his name. Then he grabbed my hand and together we dashed up the stairs to the third floor without even locking my door. Behind us we heard the sound of a door closing. Well, that's new.
なんだよ。
But I didn't dare speak until we were safely inside 301, door locked and chained. I like that they think they're safe in literally any part of this house just because it hasn't come to the other rooms yet. Even when she had that vision of her hand on her shoulder while she was riding the bus, and they're like, yeah, we're safe in this other room in the same fucking house. Definitely safe. Yeah. Someone was pounding on the door. I could hear them rattling the doorknob too. I could hear them screaming something, but couldn't make out what. Their voice was muffled, as though they were underwater. Drawn by the sound, my front door approached me. Or maybe I was approaching it. The loud click of the lock seemed to reverberate throughout my hazy world. No, don't open it. For some reason, my heart was gripped by a dark sense of foreboding. Run! Run! But the door slowly opened. My field of vision shrank. Or maybe I backed away a few steps. Then the door opened fully. A woman was standing there. She appeared to be in her 50s. I thought I recognized her from somewhere, but I couldn't quite place it. Fury in her eyes, she stormed inside. My vision shrank again, though whether from backing away or being pushed away, I wasn't certain. Then the woman slammed my chest. She looked all around the apartment, wailing about something, but I couldn't make out what. She went around opening every door like she was searching for something. Unable to find it, she rounded on me, seizing me by the shoulders. I felt myself being shaken. Then she flung me hard to the floor and I landed on my rear. Next, she stormed over to the sliding glass door, whipped it open, and stormed out onto the balcony. Desperately, I crawled after her. I could see her peering over at the apartment next door. Then, screaming, she kicked open the partition between the two balconies. "Stay away from there." I tried to get the words out, but couldn't. The woman crawled into the neighboring balcony, then stormed into the other apartment. Inside were two younger women. One was Japanese, and the other a different Asian ethnicity. The Japanese woman seemed familiar, but I couldn't quite remember her either. Oh! I think I know where this is going. Wouldn't enter this room was just as successful as the other one. Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying. Startled, the Japanese woman tried to stop the angry intruder, but the older woman shoved her away, then seized the Asian woman by the collar and began to strangle her. The Asian woman shook off her demonic attack and dashed for the front door. But the older woman grabbed her by the arm and dragged her into the bathroom. The younger woman backed away to the corner of the room, and the older woman struck her in the face. The Asian woman was frozen in fear as the older woman wrapped her hands around her throat and began to choke her once more. Instantly, a pool of red formed at the corner of my vision. The floor. There was a puddle of blood on the floor. The woman's face was twisted in agony. "No, you're going to..."
Kae-san!
I think I know. I think I know now. Like, he kept his little lover there, and paid this college girl a hefty sum of money to live there so he could keep her. And I mean, everyone says he was afraid of his wife. So what if the wife finds out he does that? She storms in. She doesn't get in through the main room. She gets in through the neighboring room. She found the key. She gets in through 201. She kicks the door open. She storms in the other side. In a fit of rage, she kills the Filipino woman. She drowns her. She strangles her. She drowns her. Whatever. Wonder what she did to the college girl, though. Like, technically, it's 2 against 1. Suddenly, I felt myself being hauled up from the darkness. Dimly, my mind came into focus. I opened my eyes to see Daigo-kun looking back at me. No, not the clock again. Mm-hmm. I sat up and Daigo-kun crouched down next to the bed, looking concerned.
すごい声で叫んでたから、てっきりこの部屋にまで出たかと思って焦りました。
Daigo-kun sighed exasperatedly.
多分ってそんなレベルじゃないと思ったけど。
How could I even begin to explain what I had seen? A dream in which some middle-aged lady barges into an apartment where 2 young women live. It was a pretty dramatic encounter, but I was clueless as to the surrounding circumstances. Oh, come on! Isn't it pretty fucking obvious?
何を見たんです?
He propped his chin in his hands on the side of the bed, and I glanced at the clock on my nightstand. I'd woken up a bit earlier than intended, but going back to sleep was the last thing on my mind. So I dragged my sluggish body out of bed. Then I realized the button-down I was wearing as a makeshift nightgown was drenched in sweat. I reached down and lightly touched his shoulder as he knelt on the floor. Sometimes things don't click until you say them out loud. It felt too real to be just a dream, but at the same time assuming it was real felt too easy somehow. Still, my dream was starting to fill in the gaps between all the bits and pieces. As I contemplated this, Dagakun stood up and opened the bedroom curtains. Beyond the window, the sun was barely peeking up from beneath the
ま
horizon.
だ少し早いけど起きますか。そのうち内山さんが来ます。
But you can't get into 202. You just found out that the key does not actually fit into 202. Unless you want to break in through the balcony. I don't think the landlady's gonna appreciate that. We met Uchiyama-san down on the ground floor. For whatever reason, he seemed strangely restless. Was it just my imagination, or did he look a little pale? Perhaps he was just nervous about exploring 202. First things first, we explained to him that the key we'd found at the Koyama residence was not actually a key to 202.
じゃあ骨折り損ですか？
He looked completely crushed. Then Daigo-kun continued.
でもこの鍵、このアパートの鍵であることは間違いなかったんですよ。
じゃあどこの部屋なんです？
実は201でした。
I chimed in. Uchiyama-san stared down at the key in my hand, then furrowed his brow and crossed his arms.
じゃあ結局202には入れないってことで？
いえ、それがそうでもないんです。
As I spoke, I led them into the building. I took care to climb the staircase quietly, since it was still fairly early in the morning. Then I stopped in front of the door to my apartment, 201.
ここから202に入れるんです。
Oh, okay, so through the balcony.
行きましょう。
Yesterday, Daigo-kun was in charge, but today it was my turn to lead. Feeling slightly nervous, I quietly unlocked and opened the door. My apartment was still dark. As I hesitated, Daigo-kun stepped in ahead of me, followed by Uchiyama-san. I hurried after them. Daigo-kun cut across the main room to the balcony, then promptly opened the
こ
partition.
こから隣に行けるんです。
なるほど。しかし窓は大丈夫ですかね？
それは行ってみないとなんとも。
Neither Uchiyama-san nor Daigo-kun looked terribly confident, but I had a strange feeling that it was, in fact, unlocked.
とにかく行ってみましょう。
Daigo-kun nodded. He was the first to crawl through the partition opening, followed by me, then Uchiyama-san. Once we reached 202's balcony, we could see just how empty the apartment looked inside. Empty and lifeless, like a void. But perhaps that was only natural, considering nobody lived there. Daigo-kun checked the door handle, then looked
こ
up.
こから入れますね。
I knew it. I didn't question how I knew, I just did. The sliding glass door slid open effortlessly. And then, at last, we set foot inside apartment 202. Okay, so... The apartment was utterly empty. That much was to be expected. But it was also eerily cold. We had entered the part of the house that, in my apartment at least, served as the bedroom. The full-length partition door had been left open, and beyond it lay the large empty living dining room. Assuming the layout here was the same as mine, the next room over was the kitchen. Next to the kitchen was the bathroom and toilet, separated by a wall. And then across from the bathroom was another room. That's a 3-room apartment. How much did she say she pays? 8,000 a month? 8,000 yen? 8,000 yen a month for a 3-room apartment. I live in a single room apartment and I pay almost 600 a month. That is not fair. I hate rent. After a quick glance around the empty bedroom, we moved to the living dining room and Daigo-kun glanced in the direction of the kitchen.
とりあえず一部屋ずつ見ま
Jesus
しょうか。
Christ. That house does seem to be haunted. True. True, but also not every part of the house. Just a few of them. I wouldn't mind sharing with a ghost. It depends on if the ghost wants to kill me or not, but like if the ghost was chill, I'd be chill as well. That's fine.
そうですね。何かあればいいですけど。
I blinked. Strange. I thought I saw something swaying behind Uchiyama-san just now. Girl, if you don't...
結城さん、どうしました？
いえ、
Naturally, nothing was there. Nothing could have been there. Nothing ought to have been there. After all, no one lived here.
とりあえずリビングダイニングは何もないみたいですね。
So he claimed, but to me something felt off. Something wasn't
カエ
right.
さん、何か気になることでもある？
あると言えばあるんだけど。
I couldn't quite explain it. It just felt eerie.
とりあえずキッチンを見てみましょうか。
Daigo-kun set off and Uchiyama-san followed after. Before I could follow, however, I stopped short. You know what I'm scared about? Is like the landlady opening the actual front door to the apartment while we're in there and us just struggling to make it back out the balcony. Was it just me or did I hear footsteps behind me? I glanced back and no one was there, but I thought I saw something move out of the corner of my eye.
カエさん、
あ、うん。先に調べてて。
My eyes were drawn to the far wall. Coincidentally, it was the wall that separated 202 from 201. Something felt off about it. As I pondered it absently, I heard the sounds of various cupboards and drawers being pulled open. Evidently, the two of them had started a search. Honestly, I knew there was much point in searching an empty apartment that nobody lived in. I glanced over and saw Uchiyama-san head into the room across from the bathroom. Then I glanced over at the balcony and saw the open partition door swaying. I couldn't help but think back to the dream I'd had this morning. I remembered climbing through the partition in pursuit of the older woman, but who was I? Thinking back, I recalled I reached out to stop her, with a hand much larger than my own. I shaded my eyes and squinted out at the balcony, hoping for a clearer look. Whose point of view was that? I thought back to the older woman, the rage in her eyes, her twisted skull, her messy hair. Was she someone I knew? But where would I have met her? At the hospital! Where she's in a coma right now! Where? Oh, it's the wet thumbs again. Ew, I hate those. Suddenly I heard footsteps. I turned, thinking it was one of the others, but no one was there. Instead, I felt something brush against my calf. I looked down at my feet, but I didn't see anything. But when I twisted around to get a look at my calf, I noticed a little handprint there. It was like someone had touched my blue jeans with a white hand. The same wall that divided 202 and 201. Someone was pounding on it. Surely one of the others had heard me scream, and yet no one came to my aid.
Daigo-kun! Daigo-kun!
Desperate, I called his name, but only silence answered me in return. Before I knew it, I was standing all alone in the darkened apartment. But this wasn't any regular darkness. All color had been drained away. The world around me was silent and monochrome. The wall shook. The next instant, I felt something cling to my leg. I staggered backwards and bumped into the kitchen wall. Instantly, I felt something tighten like a vice grip around my neck. I couldn't breathe. Then, the moment I opened my eyes, a memory flashed through my mind. Pale hospital walls, the smell of medicine, lying beneath white sheets. The grip around my neck seemed to loosen. I gasped for breath, choking. Wait, you're telling me she's haunting the place? But you're the one who apparently killed the girl. You have no business. Hello? I knew I'd seen her somewhere before. It was the older woman from my dream. I didn't realize at first, considering how different she seemed while asleep, but it was undoubtedly Mrs. Koyama. The younger Japanese woman was that Yumi Hada-san from the newspaper articles. Desperate for help, I looked around the room, but then I realized. Finally, I understood exactly what fell off about the room. I shook off the hands clinging to my legs and neck, then crawled over and clung to the wall dividing our apartments.
Emina-san! Emina-san! あなたここでしょ! ここにいるんでしょ!
She slammed the wall and I slammed back in response. Wait, please don't tell me there's still someone alive in there. The next thing I knew, color had returned to the world. The silence was broken.
カエさん、
ユウキさん、どうしました？
I heard the two of them rush over. Apparently I was back.
カエさん、何があったんですか？どうして泣いてるんです？
I didn't even realize it was until he mentioned it. My tears seeped into the wallpaper.
ここに
ここって壁ですよ。
でも
I glanced back at them and silently pointed to the balcony. More specifically, I was pointing to one end of the sliding glass door right by the adjacent wall. Uchiyama-san set off to investigate right away, but Daigo-kun paused to
カエ
think.
さんもしかして
Oh
こ
no!
こって
Please,
No.
please, but like,
Absolutely.
please let her be dead. Please don't tell me they actually put like a living person in there. Thank you for the panda hybrid time. That would be fucked up. I gave a small nod. The average person likely wouldn't have noticed a difference unless they lived here. In 201, there was about a 1-foot gap between the edge of the sliding glass door and the wall that separated the two apartments. That is to say, there was a foot of empty space in that corner. But in 202, the space was gone. The wall ran right up next to the sliding glass door. That was what felt off to me about the apartment. The wall had felt too close.
そうか。コンクリの壁がむき出しって業者は言ってた。まさか。
この中にエミーナさんはいます。
In the space between the walls. If for whatever reason Emina-san was murdered and her body was hidden in this wall, then that meant Yumihara-san's death probably wasn't a suicide. Okay, they just put her bones in there. Okay, valid. Skeleton found in an apartment wall in alleged black cat copycat crime. MCD Maibara. Earlier this afternoon, skeletal remains were discovered inside a wall on the second floor of Châtelet Romain apartments in M City. According to police reports, they had received an anonymous tip the previous night. The body, believed to be that of a young woman, has yet to be formally identified. Police are investigating the case as a possible concealment of a homicide. Residents of Châtelet Romain apartments have noted a concerning similarity between the case and a black cat, an 1843 short story by American writer Edgar Allan Poe.
警察。
待って。
Uchiyama-san started to pull out his cell phone, but I stopped him. Something was still bothering me. Maybe Mina-san was lashing out at the other tenants because she was trying to get someone to realize she was there. But it felt like there was more to it than
大
that.
吾君、浴室は見た。
He nodded.
何もなかったけど
I couldn't stop thinking about the thing that had dragged itself to my office, which shared a wall with 202's bathroom. I slipped past the two men and headed into the bathroom. With no windows, the bathroom was as dark as night. I could see some lime build up on the faucets, but otherwise nothing of note. Then the dream flashed through my mind again. The puddle of blood on the floor. The blood flowed into the drain. Woman, affair, blood. Slowly but surely the puzzle pieces began to come together.
まさか。
Hands shaking, I removed the drain cap. Beneath sat a small mesh drain protector designed to catch hair and other unwanted blockage. There was a dark lump stuck to the mesh. It was dry and stretched and unmistakably not a clump of hair. I couldn't say for certain what it was. Not yet anyway, but I had a theory.
それ何ですか
Game theory. I looked up at him. He seemed a little uneasy. Perhaps it was something only a woman would understand. It was nothing I'd experienced personally, but it wasn't too difficult to wind up at the conclusion that
入信してたんじゃ。
I called this one! I said this last time! I said this last time that she was pregnant. I knew it! I knew it! I heard the two men gasp behind me. In order to preserve the evidence, I put the drain cap back in place and slowly rose to my
出
feet.
ましょう。きちんと弔ってもらわなくちゃ。
Am I pregante?
でもそうなると
Pregnant?
ええ。大家さんにちゃんと聞かなきゃね。本当のことは。
After that, we left 202 without another word. Somehow it felt more peaceful in there. Maybe she was relieved we finally found them, or happy that someone realized she was gone. As we slipped through the balcony partition, I heard a tiny knock on the window behind us. Oh, come on. Show me.
何から話したらいいかしらね。
We sat in Inamoto-san's Japanese-style living room. After leaving 202, we cut through 201 to the hallway. There, we conveniently encountered Inamoto-san cleaning the building, so we calmly told her what we'd found. Hey, we know you concealed a crime in there! Fists up, bitch! At first, she thought we were threatening to blackmail her. She went white as a sheet and asked us how much money she had to pay us, but we told her we weren't interested. After she heard us out, she told us she wanted to do the right thing, and now here we were.
最初から 聞きたいです。
Uchiyama-san and Daigo-kun sat on either side of me. With permission, Uchiyama-san was taking notes. Daigo-kun and I both knew he had a portable recorder in his jacket pocket, but we chose not to say anything.
もう5年6年前になるのかしらね。ケイちゃん、高山さんと私はいとこ同士でね。先代からずっと不動産業をやってることもあって、アパートを建てる時もとてもお世話になったの。そんなことからケイちゃんが部屋を貸してほしいって言ってきた時もあまり深く考えずに貸したのよ。奥さんの嫉妬深さは知ってたけど、あのくらいの年齢の男だもの、遊びたいものよね。
No, I don't know. She was clearly hoping we'd agree about that, but I couldn't relate. Instead, I simply stared at her, waiting for her to continue.
202はね、自分のところにアパートを探しに来た女子大生の仲介できたの。多分その時に何か話をしたのね。トントン拍子に話は進んで、ケイちゃんは201を借りることになった。202にはその女子大生と外国人の女の人が住んでたのかしら。
聞かなかったんですか？
Inamoto-san's expression darkened.
そういう約束だったの。完治しないって。
じゃあ弓原さんが亡くなった時、警察には何て言ったんです？
At Uchiyama-san's question, her expression darkened even further, and she hung her
とこ
head.
ろが何も聞かれなかったの。中は完全な一人暮らしの部屋だったらしくて、何の痕跡もなくて、私も聞かれない以上は下手なことは言えなかったのよ。何か協力したと思われるのが怖かったから。
She was an accomplice, though. Both of the others seemed to be in agreement there, but none of us pointed it out.
あの日夕方ぐらいだったかしら。ケイちゃんの奥さんがすごい形相で来たのよ。あの人の女はどこって。私怖くって。あの奥さん怒ると乱暴で手がつけられない人だったから。
Inamoto-san shuddered at the mere memory of it. I could see goosebumps all up her arms. And if my dream was at all accurate to what had actually transpired, then I certainly didn't blame her.
それで部屋を教えちゃったんですか？
それがその時ちょうどケイちゃんが女の人と帰ってきたのよ。部屋に入っていくのが見えたのね。奥さんがその後追いかけて。
それから
Inamoto-san sighed heavily and fell
何
silent.
かあったんですか？
His tone wasn't particularly urgent, but regardless, she simply shook her head.
わからないの。
どういうことですか？
怖くて部屋から出られなかったから。その後夫婦とも部屋に来ることはなくて、それから2週間くらいして弓原さんのご両親から電話があったの。娘と連絡が取れない、部屋を見てくれないかって。
As she knelt down on the floor, her gaze stayed carefully fixed on her lap. Was she trying to remember or simply too ashamed to look at
ケイ
us?
ちゃんに連絡を取ろうと思ったけど、少し怖くて、私こっそり202に様子を見に行ったのよ。でも誰もいなくて、それからしばらくして警察が来たの。
その時立ち会わなかったんですか？
As she spoke, Uchiyama-san continued to take notes, his ballpoint pen flying over the pages of his
立
notebook.
ち会ったけど、ずっと玄関の外にいたの。だって恐ろしくて、それから2週間くらいで弓原さんが退去して。と言っても業者が荷物をまとめてご両親のところに送り返しただけでね。その3日くらい後にケイちゃんが騒がせたお詫びに業者を入れてきれいに工事したいって言ってきたのよ。
Oh,
工事、ずいぶん大げさですね。
私もそう思ったけど、きれいにリフォームした方がいいだろうって気を使ってくれたと思ったのよ。
in reality, he wanted to have the construction work done so he could hide the body of the person his wife had killed. Inamoto-san continued, her complexion pale.
最初はケイちゃん自身が工事に入ってたけど、すぐに下請けの業者さんに代わって。でもその業者さんも数日で飛び出していってしまって、結局あの部屋はろくに手もつけられないまま誰にも貸せなくなってしまって。
Her hands were visibly shaking as she clutched at her
そ
skirt.
れから1年くらいしてケイちゃんが自殺したの。そのすぐ後奥さんもおかしくなって入院して、結局 あの部屋で何があったのか聞けないまま、私はケイちゃんの友達の会社にアパートの仲介をお願いして。
202の上下左右の部屋に人が居つかないのは最近のことじゃないですよね。なんで何も言わずに貸したりしたんですか。いわくつきの部屋だって説明があれば、俺の姉ちゃんだってあんな目に遭わずに済んだんだ。あんなところに住んでないんだよ。なんでだよ。
大吾君。
No, he's right. I grabbed his arm to mollify his anger and realized he was
落ち着い
trembling.
て。気持ちはわかるから。
Daigo-kun's face twisted in fury. Across the table, Inamoto-san shrank back, nearly on the verge of tears.
ごめんなさい。202だけ貸し出すのをやめればいいって。あとは特に何かあったわけじゃないからいいって。
But she had to have wondered why people would be leaving so early all the time.
冗談じゃない。あんたのせいで俺の姉ちゃんはずっと病院暮らしだ。あんたのせいで。
大吾君。
It's like, okay, if someone leaves an apartment early once or twice, okay, but literally all of the 4 apartments that are directly connected to that one, people keep, you know, moving in and immediately leaving again, like, gee, that sure is weird. Where'd my game go? He looked about ready to leap across the table at her, so I flung my arms around him. His breathing ragged, he began to cry. Gritting his teeth, he bit back sob after sob. Tears rolled down his cheeks and fell to the floor. Inamoto-san looked at us in alarm, still cowering in terror. As Daigo-kun sobbed and shook in my arms, I turned back to
警
her.
察に届けようと思います。匿名で。
The color drained from her face.
でもあなたは
I spoke firmly,
あ
silencing
なた
her.
は知らぬ存ぜぬを通せばいい。高山さんが勝手にやったことで私は何も知らないんだと。
It's definitely
Someone
weird,
of this.
for sure.
でも壁の中のエミーナさんと排水溝にいるエミーナさんの子は弔ってあげてください。そのためには警察に届けなければならないんです。今まで見て見ぬふりをしたんです。それぐらいはいいでしょう。
For a while, Inamoto-san didn't speak. She just stared down at the floor. I couldn't imagine what she must have been thinking. Then, after a long silence, she finally opened her mouth to speak.
お願いします。
In the end, after agreeing to pay damages for everything Daigo-kun's sister had suffered, Inamoto-san continued to apologize to us over and over. Well, the following week was a total blur. With Mari-san's help, we sent an anonymous tip to the police. We told them we thought maybe a guy had murdered his illicit hostess paramour. The cops investigated 202 straight away, and sure enough, they found a skeletal corpse in a wall. Then they called Inamoto-san in for questioning, but as they couldn't find any proof of her involvement, they had no choice but to let her go. That narrowed the suspects down to Mr. and Mrs. Koyama, but one of them was dead and the other one was in a coma. Thus, they were unable to charge anyone with the murder. As for what happened after that, truth be told, I'm not entirely sure. All I know is supposedly Mari-san took Emina-san's bones back to the Philippines, along with the fetus from the bathroom drain. Lastly, as for myself...
ねえ、カエさん。俺、思うんだけどさ。やっぱり引っ越した方が良かったんじゃないの？
だってせっかく壁ぶち抜きで家賃そのままでいいって言うんだ。その言葉に甘えない手はないでしょ。
でも、死体が埋まってた部屋でって。
もう嫌な雰囲気はしないから大丈夫よ。
Châtelet Romain 202 no longer exists. After they tore down the dividing wall, they decided to remodel it as one giant apartment, and I've agreed to live there. Partly because I didn't want to have to move everything all over again, but mostly because Inamoto-san said she'd only charge me one apartment's worth of rent. And so I ended up with a supersized apartment at a bargain price. Motherfuck! Sometime
カエ
later.
さん、俺の部屋こっちでいい？
大丈
Oh, they're moving it together. Yeah.
じゃあ、ケーブルをまた仕入れてくるかな。短いや。
後でいいんじゃない？
I decided to let Daigo move in with me. It was a logical conclusion from both an emotional and economic
カエ
standpoint.
さん、ちょっと来て。
ちょっと待って。
Behind me, I heard a small tap on the window. I turned to find the curtains rustling in the early summer breeze. The grieving mother and their child had since passed on. Still, I had a feeling they were out there somewhere, gently watching over us. Really now? The end! Uh-huh! Aha! Well, yeah. Oh, translation by Molly. Ah! Ah! No, I'm sorry. You're telling me? I mean, it's very nice that they helped the ghosts move on. Lovely. Like that. Good ending. But... really? The ghosts were all... like... they were so aggressive in what they were doing. And tried to kill people, blah blah blah. And it was all just so they could be laid to rest. That's a weird way to get someone to investigate your death. Oh.
ねえ、アンナ。
Uh-oh.
なにママ。
この間ね、ちょっと不思議なことがあったのよ。
あら、不思議なことって？
あら、カエちゃん久しぶり。
We got an epilogue.
元気だった？
久しぶりってついこの間来たじゃない。
カエさん、ここって。
ほら、こちらかわいいのね。カエちゃんの彼氏。
いいえ、ママへの貢ぎ物。
あら嬉しい。今日はどんどん飲ませちゃうわよ。
いや、俺もう飲んできたんで。おっ。
Isn't
前
this
にカエちゃんとダイちゃんが来てくれ
I
た
was
時
about
の
to
シー
say,
ン
wasn't
ね
that the scene back then?
あの時ね、ずっと気になってたことがあるの。
あら、何？
Nani?
お店の外からずっとこっちを見てた女の人がいたんだけど。
あらやだ、ストーカーかしら。
違うのよ。どっかで見たことがあるわねって。そしたら
あら、一体誰？
高山ちゃんの奥さんなのよ。入院してるはずなのに。
あら、怖いわ。カエちゃんたちを見てたのかしら。
Okay, so hold on. You're telling me Emina-san's ghost, or, you know, because she was buried in the wall there, was like haunting the apartment. But Koyama-san's ghost, despite her still being alive, she's just in a coma, is also out and about and trying to strangle anyone who comes too close to the apartment or something?
ずっとカエちゃんの後ろにいたエミーナちゃんを見てたのよ。
ママったらもう、この霊感おかま。
いやー、褒めないで。怖いんだから。
Okay. Thank you, game.
荷物とりあえずこれだけ？
これだけ。
Nearly 5 days had passed since I discovered Emina-san's body in apartment 202. As I sorted through the luggage I brought to Daiyukun's place, he made me a cup of coffee.
ごめんね。結局また転がり込むことになっちゃって。
俺がそうしろって言ったわけだし、気にしないでよ。ネットが使えないと困るでしょ。
うん。本当に助かるわ。
Casually
ずっ
talking
と
about
ホテ
finding
ル
a
ってわけ
body.
に
No
もいかない
biggie.
し。
Easy. Hey, just cleared up a murder case from a few years back. Currently, the police were conducting an investigation of my apartment 201. More accurately, they were investigating the relationship between President Koyama and Emina-san, as well as the two apartments. I didn't realize my apartment would have to be searched until after I had Mary-san send an anonymous message to the police. I wasn't a suspect, but 201 had to be investigated nonetheless. The cops were bound to notice the wall's unusual thickness straight away, and today was the day they were set to knock down the wall. Ooh.
始まっ
とうとう壁の取り壊しが始まったみたいだね。
I could hear the sounds of the machinery directly below us. You guessed it. With the investigation underway in apartment 201, I had decided to temporarily move into 301 with Daigo-kun. They agreed to let me store my furniture in 203, but unfortunately no utilities were hooked up in there. My landlady Inamoto-san promised she'd get it set up ASAP, but that still didn't solve the internet issue. Then Daigo-kun suggested I stay at his place while I waited, which I gratefully took him up
書斎の
on.
デスクトップつないだから。
ありがとう。
Daigo-kun opened the sliding glass door. All at once, the sounds of the wall demolished magnified. Then he stepped into the balcony and peered down. I followed suit. Unfortunately, the balcony wall was a little too high for me, so I couldn't see much at all. Daigo-kun leaned against the wall and looked at me.
助かるよ。あんなに熱烈なアピールがあったんだし。
I glanced over at him and our eyes met. Feeling weirdly bashful, I promptly averted my gaze once
カ
more.
エさんってさ。カエさんって誰か付き合ってる人いる？
I could have just said no, but for some reason I didn't want to make it that easy. Lucky for Ritsu back then. Okay. The question struck me as something he should have asked a lot sooner. Feeling a bit peeved, I responded.
いたらそっちに転がり込んでると思わない？
そりゃそうか。
His response was so flippant it actually pissed me off a little. Almost like he was implying I couldn't get a date. I mean, truth be told, I was certainly nowhere near as popular with men as my sister Shoko, but still. Honestly, it surprised me that I still cared about such things in my 30s when I'd long since put my love life on the back burner. Besides, one look at him and it was obvious he wasn't trying to insult
フ
me.
リーのデザイナーなんて出会いがないから。
I did have some male clients, but most of the good ones were already off the market. Sometimes I found myself thinking I'd probably be single forever. Obviously, I wasn't enthralled about the prospect, but there was no sense crying for the moon.
じゃあさ、俺。
ちょっと待って。
I could hear some sort of commotion downstairs.
見つかったぞ。ブルーシードを持ってこい。監視を呼べ。
As I paused to eavesdrop on the voices below, I heard a small sigh beside
大悟
me.
くん、どうかした？
He's not gonna have it easy. Daigo-kun turned away from the
行
balcony
ってみよう
wall.
よ。全く関係ないわけじゃないから何か教えてくれるかも。
Naturally, I had no objections. And so, without further ado, we headed downstairs. The second floor was crawling with cops like someone had kicked a hornet's nest. As we arrived, they nearly walked face first into a uniformed forensic investigator on his way up from the first floor.
大丈夫、カエさん。
あ、うん、平気。
The police had put up a no trespassing tape to block the end of the hallway 201, and I couldn't see much past it. But Daigo-kun took me by the hand and led me boldly past it.
ちょっと、大悟くん？
住人が遠慮することないでしょ。ほら。
Evidently, he had no intention of backing down. I followed him down the hall and around the corner. Just then, the door to 202 opened and someone stepped out.
ここは立ち入り禁止ですよ。結城さんでしたか。
It was Nakayama-san, a detective from M
す
Station.
みません。お忙しいのに降りてきちゃって。
Unsmiling, Nakayama-san simply shook his head. He fished around in his slacks pocket and pulled out a pack of cigarettes.
そちらは上の階の久松さんでしたね。何かお部屋に忘れ物ですか？
というわけじゃないんですけど。
何があったか気になって。
Daigo-kun's tone was firm. Nakayama-san stared back at him as he lit his
何
cigarette.
か見つかったんですよね。ベランダにいたら聞こえちゃったんですよ。
Nakayama-san exhaled a cloud of smoke and grimaced.
あったといえばありましたけどね。
何があったんですか？
I couldn't help but ask. My curiosity had gotten the better of me. But Nakayama-san's grimace darkened
い
further.
や、まだこれから捜査なんで。
何が見つかったかだけでいいんですけど、彼女隣の住人だし気になるじゃないですか。ね。
Daigo-kun turned to me and I hastily nodded. I had a feeling things would work out better if I just played along. Nakayama-san seemed to sense that he wouldn't be getting out of it. He took another drag on his cigarette, then looked at me.
その前に聞きますけど、通報の電話は本当にオタクたちじゃないんでしょうね。
What? Me? Us? No. God, no. We're just concerned neighbors. Totally unrelated. Smoke billowed from his lips as he spoke, and I knew he was referring to the tip Mari-san had called in. She had done so anonymously, so theoretically the police had no idea who was behind it.
201から202に
ベランダから侵入できる経路がありました。さらに床に一部ホコリが払われている場所がありましてね。
大家さんじゃないんですか？
Nakayama-san narrowed his eyes at Daigo-kun, who had asked Inamoto-san to lock the sliding glass door from inside. As the landlady, we knew she wouldn't be faulted for entering her own property. As for our fingerprints after the scene, we all rehearsed a cover story that she let us inside to check around after complaints of strange noises from next door. I wasn't connected to 202 in the first place, so I was beyond the scope of suspicion. Nakayama-san seemed to understand this as he stopped trying to question us further.
まあいいでしょう。202の壁から白骨死体が発見されました。
Ooh, called it. The words were on the tip of my tongue, but I hastily bit them back. Sure enough, Emina-san was in the wall. Part of me was relieved, and another part of me shuddered to think that I would have been sleeping right next to a skeleton.
それから
She says this now, but then she moves into it once they, have taken out the entire fucking wall. Like she's not bothered after they take it out. What? Emina-san's baby. Nakayama-san seemed to interpret my silence as shock. He wore a sympathetic look on his face as he crushed a cigarette into his portable
引っ
ashtray.
越しの費用なんかについては大家さんにご相談した方がいいでしょうね。
引っ越しですか？別に私死体がなくなったのなら住めますけど。
Personally, I hadn't thought that far
白骨
ahead.
が埋まってた壁は他にも何かないか確認するために全て取り壊しますから。天井も全て剥ぎますし、201も容疑者が住んでいたので同様にさせていただきます。
In other words, staying here would be physically impossible. As I struggled to process this, Nakayama-san put his portable ashtray back in his
まだ
pocket.
引っ越したばかりのようですし、敷金礼金は全て返却してもらえると思いますよ。こういったケースは特殊ですが、交渉次第では引っ越し代金も幾分は出してもらえるんじゃないですかね。では私はまだ捜査がありますんで、明日には残りの荷物も隣に移してください。
Without waiting for an answer, Nakayama-san went back into 202. I watched him go, then heaved a sigh.
つまりこれってどういうこと？
お引っ越しってことみたいだね。
I slumped my
め
shoulders.
んどくさ。
まあまあ、しばらくは俺のところにいていいし、後からゆっくり考えようよ。
そうね。
On our way back to Daigo-kun's apartment, we saw the forensic investigator from earlier head down to the first floor. We peered out at the parking lot and watched as he headed into Inamoto-san's house.
稲本さんも大変ね。
自業自得でしょ。
Though it was harsh, he had a point. With no counter-argument, I quietly headed back into 301. The next day, after I'd finished moving all my furniture into 203, Inamoto-san peeked her head in timidly.
結城さん、
こんにちは。業者さんの手配をありがとうございました。
As a single woman, my belongings were few, but at the same time, I had an entire home office worth of furniture, and it was hard work managing it all on my own. I would have liked Daigo-kun's help, but unfortunately, he had to present his thesis and wouldn't be back until that evening. I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to comply with the police's orders to move all of my things, but then this morning, Inamoto-san called some movers to help me. Fortunately, since it wasn't peak moving season, she was able to get someone right away, and with their help, I barely had to lift a finger. After all, I wasn't moving into 203, just temporarily storing my things there. Granted, I could have just asked to live in 203 officially, but then I would have had to submit change of address notices to all my clients all over again, and, well, I really didn't want to have to do that.
ちょっとお話があるんだけど。
She glanced repeatedly in 202's general direction. Evidently, she wasn't comfortable with the police
わ
overhearing
かりま
us.
した。じゃあ301に。
After one last spot check, we sent the movers home, then headed up to apartment
そ
301.
れで話って何ですか？
I walked in like I owned the place. Then I made some coffee for us in the kitchen while Inamoto-san looked on
そ
anxiously.
の前に結城さん、あなたお引っ越しなさるつもりなのかしら。
I paused to think for a moment.
そうですね。必要があれば仕方ないかと思ってますけど。
If 201 ended up literally uninhabitable, then I would have no choice. Still, if at all possible, I was eager to avoid having to go through all that hassle. Gauging my reaction, Inamoto-san took a sip of the coffee I gave her.
じゃあまだどこか探してるというわけでは。
ないです。大吾くん、久松さんに甘えちゃってる状態ですけど。
For some reason, Inamoto-san looked strangely relieved to hear this. She took another sip of coffee, then paused for a beat.
201とね、202をつなげようと思ってるんだけど。
え？
ほら、警察の方が言ってたのよ。だから、この2つの部屋をつなげてしまおうかと思ってるんだけど。どう思う？
どう思うって。
Frankly, I didn't see the sense in having an apartment with 2 kitchens. I decided to go with an inoffensive answer instead.
広くなる分にはいいんじゃないですか。
Instantly, Inamoto-san broke into a bright
や
smile.
っぱりそう思う？
ええ、まあ。
I nodded vaguely, and Inamoto-san suddenly straightened up. Her expression was
あの
firm.
ね、お願いがあるの。
なんでしょ
その部屋に住んでいただけないかしら。
う。え？
I didn't understand. She wanted to combine the apartments and have me live there? Interpreting my silence as a no, Inamoto-san hastily
あの
continued.
ね、お家賃は1部屋分でいいの。電気やガス、水道もちゃんと1世帯分になるように改装するつもりなのよ。
はあ。
What was her angle here? I stared back at her, unsure of what to say, and she slumped her shoulders with a sigh. I mean,
虫がいいと思い
to
で
be
しょ。
fair, I feel like... Oh, nice. My roommate, one of the spiders, is moving. Okay. I'm assuming, like, if she moves out, there is no way she's gonna get anyone else to rent these apartments or this apartment if she combines them. Because, like, you know, if you read about the news about it, like, they actually found a dead body in the wall, blah blah blah, or like the skeletal remains of a body in the wall. I don't think a lot of people would jump on the opportunity to rent that particular piece of apartment. That's not how you English anyway.
というよりも、どうしてそこまでして？
ゆきさん、今日202には入ってご覧になりました？
No.
いいえ、自分の荷物を出すので精一杯で。
Everything was so hectic, I scarcely had time to even think about
もう
202.
ね、ご遺体は運び出したそうなのよ。壁も全部壊したけど何もなかったってそう聞いて、私ね、今日202に本当に久しぶりに入ったの。立ち会いでね。
As the woman in charge of the complex, she must have felt partly responsible for what happened. And she must have been frightened, though obviously I didn't know for
怖
sure.
くなかったですか？
Funnily enough, she shook her
いい
head.
え、それがね、ちっともなんだかあの部屋が明るく感じられて、そうしたのがあなただと思ったら、ああ、住んでてほしいって思ったのよ。
稲本さん。
I was starting to see what she meant. She must have sensed that the mystery surrounding the apartment had finally been
よ
laid
か
to
った
rest.
ら考えておいてもらえる？
With that, Inamoto-san set her half-empty mug on the table and walked out. Was it just me, or did she seem a bit brighter now? I spent a long time afterwards thinking back on 202 and its long history, until finally Daigo-kun came home. The next day, the police finished their investigation. After examining every last inch of 202 and 201, the next move was to retrace President Koyama's last steps. They told us they needed to preserve the crime scene for a few more days, but we were permitted entry once more.
ねえ、大吾くん。
何？コーヒーのおかわり？
Breakfast at 301 was already part of my daily routine. As a house guest, Daigo-kun never let me lift a finger, so there I was eating his cooking while preparing to tell him the decision I had made. He was already dutifully reaching for the coffee pot when I shook my head at him and took another bite of my ham on toast.
違うの。今日は大学院？
いや、今日は行かなくていいけど、どうして？
ちょっと付き合ってほしいんだけど。
俺と？
じゃなくて。
It was a running gag at this point, but somehow I could never quite get used to it. I always was a bit of an awkward girl. Taking care not to let my inner turmoil show on my face, I washed down my bite of toast with a gulp of
202
coffee.
にね。行ってみようと思って。
もうボディーガードはいらないんじゃないの？
He had a point. The deeply rooted crutch of 202 was no more. As such, it was hardly necessary to force Daigo-kun to tag
言
along
わ
with
れて
me.
みればそうね。じゃあご飯を食べたら行ってみるわ。
え？いや、俺も付き合うよ。付き合いますよ。
He seemed strangely eager to tag along, considering he was the one who said it wasn't necessary in the first place.
だってもう別に危なくはないし一人で大丈夫よ。
Regardless, he refused to give
行くっ
in.
て俺も202どうなったか見たいし。
別にいいけど何か用事があったんじゃないの？
He just said he was free.
ないない何にもない。だから俺も行くって。
It didn't make sense. He almost seemed like he was being bratty on
も
purpose.
しかして一緒に来てって言ってほしかった？
At that, Daigo-kun promptly choked on his coffee. I didn't have a key to 202, but I scarcely needed
本
one.
当にぶっ壊しちゃったんだな。
As Daigo-kun stared around in astonishment, I looked over at 202 from what used to be the bedroom of 201. Gone was the wall where Emina-san used to lash out with a ghostly hand, demanding to be noticed. The wallpaper had been torn down in both apartments, and the carpet was ripped up in places, making it a little unsafe to walk around. It was a pretty grim spectacle, even with the knowledge that it was all going to be remodeled soon
こ
anyway.
の壁また作るのは時間かかるだろうな。
I crossed over into 202's space and peered around. The atmosphere felt noticeably different in here. The dull, icy air was gone. Somehow it was softer, more peaceful, more normal. And that was all it took to make up my mind for good.
それなんだけどね。
I turned back to find Daigo-kun standing on the border between the two apartments looking at me. His gaze made me quickly avert my own. I hadn't done anything wrong, so why did I feel so guilty? No, not guilty. For some reason I was just feeling shy.
カエさんそれなんだけど続きは？
Oh, right. I forgotten I stopped mid-sentence.
稲本さんが昨日来てね。この壁はなくしたままで201と202は一つの部屋にするって話だったの。
へえ壁を作るのが面倒ってことかな。
それでね、その部屋に住んでくれないかって言われちゃって。
Daigo-kun's eyes widened behind the lenses of his glasses. Then his expression clouded over.
いやでもそれはさすがに。
家賃も一部屋分でいいって言ってくれてるしね。私も引っ越す手間がなくていいし。
でも死体が見つかった部屋だよ。
Another fine point. This apartment had a dark and gruesome past, but for some reason I felt strangely confident I would be fine.
大丈夫よ。エミーナさんはただ見つけて欲しかっただけで、その願いは叶ったんだもん。
I mean, I like how positive she's being about it all, but...
ここに住んだからって何かされることはないと思うわ。
でもさ一人で2部屋分って広すぎない？
まあそれはそうなんだけどね。せっかくだし。
Daigo-kun took a step forward and crossed into 202. Brow forward, he walked up to me. Reflexively, I looked up at
俺
him.
も住みたいんだけど。
この部屋？
He nodded. Admittedly, I didn't blame him, considering it was essentially double the space for the same price. Plus, his sister used to live in 201, so it probably held some sentimental value as well.
じゃあ稲本さんに聞いてみるわ。私は今荷物を置かせてもらってる203でも。
No, dummy, he wants to move in with you!
いや
あ、ネットがつながるまでは大吾くんの部屋にお邪魔しときたいな。光回線を引こうと思ったらどうしても時間がかかっちゃうし。
そうじゃなくて。
Frustrated, he ran a hand through his hair. He was blushing all the way to his
カエ
ears.
さんと住みたいんだけど。
There it is! As in...
それはいろいろとすっ飛ばしています。
Ah, you guys kind of cleared up a murder case. I think you've skipped enough steps, yeah. He does mean what I think he means, right?
分かってるくせに。
なんとなくしかわからないわ。
What am I doing? I knew I shouldn't joke around, but I couldn't stop myself. I was doing a bad job of fighting my smile too. Daigo-kun glared at me for a moment, clapped a hand to his forehead, then reached out and pulled me into his arms. I'd never realized just how broad his chest was. Oh no. Okay, I'm happy that they end up together, but oh no. As I stood there calmly analyzing his stature, he drew his lips to my ear.
一緒に住みたいです。
I always knew he was a bit of a forward guy, and yet his voice was shaking. I looked up at him and he pressed a warm cheek against my forehead.
一緒に住みたいわけを100字以内で述べよ。
He responded by gently pressing his lips to mine, followed
カ
by
エさんが
Ooh!
好きになってしまったからです
Bashful whisper.
じゃあ稲本さんちゃんと言わなきゃね。多分びっくりされちゃうと思うけど。
Not only was I going to live in 201, but I was going to move in with a man 7 years my junior. Oh no!
別に驚かれないんじゃないかな
Wait, 7 years her junior? He's 23. So she's exactly 30. She keeps saying like, oh, I'm already in my 30s. You are literally 30. You're not in your 30s, you are 30. You only start being in your 30s if you are somewhere along. Like she keeps talking about herself like she's so old, but she's 30. As he spoke, Dagger-kun walked around to briefly inspect 202, then headed back over to 201. I wasn't sure why he bothered though, since we'd already explored the place
ど
recently.
うして？
だって今でも俺の部屋にいるでしょとっくにそういう仲だって思われてると思うけど
Hmm.
カエさんそういうとこいいんだよ
Yes, yes, I was. There was never anything between him and I, not until that kiss just then anyway. But perhaps other people saw us a bit differently.
いっか
まあほら縁がないから慣れがないのよ。
As I awkwardly headed for the front door, Dagger-kun took my hand in his.
何？
I glanced back to find him smiling softly at me. Then I remembered the sensation of his lips on mine, and my shyness flared up all at
挨
once.
拶しとこうかなって部屋にね
そうだね。
This place was edged with the painful memories of a mother and her child, but now we were going to paint over it with new memories of our own.
よろしくお願いします
お願いします。
Together we bowed our hands. Just then I thought I felt a hand touch mine. A hand that definitely wasn't Dagger-kun's. Warm like a handshake. I looked up to find Dagger-kun looking at me. Welcome back! What you make for dinner? A soft, gentle
よろし
hand.
くかな
きっとね。
No, I knew it was. Just like that, I knew she'd given us her blessing. Thank you for the posture check. Oh, there it is. This is a work of fiction. Didn't buy groceries for this month, so just instant noodles. Ooh, instant noodles are good though. And thank you for the pad. Fascinating. Okay, so one, I am very glad I didn't attempt to finish this game on Sunday because this was over an hour and a half of, you know, yet more content until we actually finished playing the game, which is fascinating. Instant noodles as comfort food? Yes, thank you for the fact. Two, it wasn't as much, like, I feel like, I'm sorry, but I feel like at the end, it went from, oh no, horror, bad ghost, immediately over to, oh no, someone died here and it was not a justified death and we have to send her off and stuff, and like immediately no more hard feelings, nothing. Which is very funny to me. I liked it though. Very nice story. Very nice. I mean, number one thing I was already surprised about is that we play a woman as a main character. It was voiced. The story was good. I loved the few pieces of, you know, artwork that we had in between that were drawn and not just like filtered background pictures, but like actually drawn. Very expressive artwork. It's a little sad, but I mean, I guess that's because of how old the game is. You can't actually look at this stuff. Like, there's no CG gallery and anything. That would be nice, but I mean, whatever. Interesting, though. Very interesting. It was nice. I liked it. Question is just, what do I do? Just make your own CG gallery. Yeah, just take a screenshot for every CG that shows up and be happy with it. Or maybe there's something here. No. Nothing in there. But that was a cool game. I liked it. That was a really cool game. And it took us, what, like 5 or 6 hours or something? 5 hours. Something along those lines. But I don't want to end stream yet. It's not even been a full 2 hours. I don't want to get started on Superliminal though. You know, because that's planned for Sunday. I don't want to get started with it today. I think we're just gonna play that on Sunday for sure. It's almost 2 hours though. Yeah, but like... it's not fully there yet. It's not fully there. I am tired though. That was a nice game. That's another game of the list. Another game we can cross off my never-ending backlog. Let me actually turn on some music now. Another game finished. We're getting closer and closer to the 75 finished games. I don't know how many we will finish this year still, but we're doing it. I'm very proud of myself. It was a good game. What does the Steam store page actually say about this one though? Yeah, it came out in 2018. It's an updated remake of a classic Japanese horror visual novel. Oh, it says... yeah, it says right there. Take the role of protagonist Yuki Kai as she investigates the mysterious and terrifying events happening in her new apartment building. Have I ever mentioned that I don't read these kind of things ever? Like, I don't even read the blurbs on the back of books anymore because a lot of time they put so many spoilers in there, especially for manga. Like, you ever actually read what it says on the back of a manga? There's like, oh, and in this volume, da 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 da, and you're like, wow, I don't even have to read it anymore. It's all on there anyway. You know what I'm a little bit sad about? Is that the child never actually showed up again. You know, only like she moves in, she goes to greet her neighbors, she greets Daigo-kun. Fair, he shows up the rest of the game, he's important. But she also greeted her downstairs neighbors, the woman and the child. They even had a CG with the child. And they don't show up ever again. And like the woman, she was so weird, like, about it, because the child asked like, hey, are you going to move out after one day as well? And we were like, who, what, okay. And the lady absolutely went nuts. Like, why? Just never explained again why she was so about the girl asking that. It's a little surprising. I don't know. It was a good game. The end horror done properly. It's good. It's very good. About this game. Oh yeah, it actually says a bunch about the... Oh, with all new artwork and voice acting, as well as a brand new soundtrack. Oh, cool. Kinetic novel with no player choices, a single ending, streamlining the story and enhancing player engagement. Cute. I wonder if they made any other games? Yeah, there's one other game by these same developers that is available on Steam, and it's called Hippo Boar Rancher. And it is exactly what it says on the tin. Which is a pixel-style ranch game. And it has a whopping 2 user reviews. challenge game. Let's go. Yeah, hold on. Welcome to the world of Hippo Boar Rancher. This charming offbeat farming simulation game features a colorful cast of characters, including your favorite little critter you've never met, the Hippo Boar. The Hippo Boar, oh, what the fuck just happened? The Hippo Boar, or Kabaino in Japanese, is the mascot of our parent group, Otutsun Club. Oh my god. The game also features a soundtrack from composer Shiro Akashio, known for such titles as Yuno and Dies Irae. What? They got they got the composer for stuff like Yuno and Dies Irae for Hippo Boar Ranch game. Okay. In Hippo Boar Rancher, your farming skills will be put to test as the lone owner of a rundown ranch that needs rebuilding from the ground up. Take on requests, gather materials, and capture, raise, and breed livestock, including adorable hippo boars, on your quest to become the most powerful and profitable rancher of all time. You'll also interact with the diverse residents of the nearby town, as well as some more eccentric wilderness dwellers. You might even see a familiar face or two if you played one of our other titles, Nero Eroso. No, I have not, because I'm just going to assume that game is not available on Steam. At least I didn't see it. Also, apparently you're not a human. You're a dark elf, and your name is Logan Lansdale. This game has 2 reviews, and one of them... I can't even see one of them. For whatever reason. I can only see 1 review, despite it having 2. Super cute farming simulator game with a little bit of magic sprinkled in. It's not super complicated. You build buildings, raise animals, grow crops, talk to townsfolk, maybe complete a quest or 2 every now and then. Still, the game manages to be very fun with a hilarious and lovable cast of characters. Oh, okay. Cute. Well, I guess sometimes you just need to go into the depths of Steam and just find some very unknown games. It's in a language that isn't set as one of your preferred ones. Oh, yeah, I mean, I did try to browse, like, all reviews. Oh, yeah. Oh, now it's there. It's a Japanese review. Oh, it's a pretty long review. I can't read it, though. Kanji I can read, kanji I can read, kanji I can read. Katakana I should be able to read, but still can't. Cute, though. Google Translate, go! No, we're not going to ask Google Translate. Hold up! There is a side story for Neighbor as DLC. Lingering Memory side story. What do you mean? Lingering Memories is a side story expansion for Neighbor in which you play as a minor character from the main game. The expansion fleshes out events only hinted at in the main game and sheds more light on the mysterious and terrifying story of Neighbor. Unlike Neighbor, Lingering Memories is more of a choose-your-own-adventure style escape game. With the same interface and presentation of the main game, in Lingering Memories it's up to you to decide how to investigate the mysteries you come across, but will you make it out alive? Which one of the characters was Ando? Ando was the writer. That ends up dying, so like... What do you mean, will you make it out alive? I apparently will not. We know from the main story that he does not actually make it out alive. There's one review. There's one Russian review that says not recommended. Why? Okay, hold on. Google Translate. Google Translate, help me read. I do not speak Russian. I cannot read any of this. Oh. Oh, damn. That's a scathing review. Something, Practically unrelated to the original game. Passes in 10 to 15 minutes. Not worth your money at all. I'm extremely disappointed. Ooh, that's a little sad to hear. There's a DLC that's called Official Guidebook. What's in there? A 40-page full-color guidebook for the game in PDF format. Contains tons of artwork and insight about the game. Both the English and Japanese versions of the guidebooks are included. The guidebook comes in form of a PDF file downloaded to the game's installation folder. Wait, hold on. The Official Guidebook DLC, which just gives you one PDF file, is €8.19. Which is more money than Neighbor itself costs. The game itself costs €7.39. Wow, I do not know what the fuck kind of pricing that is, but it costs €7.39. The Lingering Memories side story costs €3.29. Hi, good evening. We already finished the game, so I'm just I'm just looking at stuff on Steam connected to it. The the original soundtrack costs €6.59, and the official guidebook costs €8.19. A pricing that's suggested for regional pricing. Okay, sure, but why does the official guidebook, which is a one singular PDF file, cost more than the game? I'm not saying they shouldn't want money for a guidebook. That's all valid, but why does the guidebook cost more than the game? And the game is not on sale. The game is not on sale. That's weird. Also, very funny, Steam is not very good at recommending games that are actually like this. Because you get, like, I'm getting recommendations right now that is Slime Rancher 2, Return to Monkey Island, and Marvel Spider-Man Remastered. Because, for sure, Spider-Man Remastered and this game have a lot in common. Sims 4. This is just popular games. It's just recommending me popular games on Steam. Like, come on. Really? Okay. But it was nice. I liked it. Definitely glad I played it. That was cool. That was very cool. Yeah. But I think can recommend Spider-Man what that has to do with it. Yeah, it's like okay. Like sometimes I just think when Steam does not have enough information about the game because it's not, not a lot of people play it. And I'd argue I've played a lot of games where arguably not that many people apparently have heard of them. So I'm like, yeah, okay. Steam is a little lost on what to recommend because they don't have enough information on like what is similar. But just giving me the, I don't know, big games that are popular on Steam overall, come on. Like at least getting Among Us recommended on Gnosia was okay. Because the main principle there quite literally is the actual same, except one game is a multiplayer game and the other one is a single player one with a story to follow, but the process was the same. It's like, ooh, play one round, find a traitor. Wah wah wah. A story about a haunted apartment. A guy with superpowers swinging through the city, stopping the apocalypse. Yeah, see, no difference. See, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Oh, you know what we can do though? Oh, you know what we can do though? Now that we're talking about Spider-Man. Nano, previously Moki. We've been to Moki streams sometimes. Previously Moki, now Nano, who is in the process of, renaming everything. Just started playing Spider-Man. So I think I know who to rate tonight, I think. Because I'm not gonna start anything new today. Like an hour to get into something else. An hour to get into something else is a little I'd rather like get a headset on Sunday than for what's it called? Oh my god, why can I not remember the name of the game I want to play? What is it called? Superliminal. We're gonna play Superliminal on Sunday. Rest of the week is planned like more Atelier Eska on Friday, though granted we're gonna start this one a little later because I once again invited to go have dinner with family, but this time like earlier than the last time when it was just like, oh yeah, we're gonna go, you coming with us? I'm like, I have things planned, so this time I could plan around them. So Friday we're gonna get started, just continue Eska and Lucy for a little more. Hopefully get another assignment done. Maybe set our foot into those funny ruins already. And Saturday we're gonna start a Little Nightmares 2. I'm gonna try to get as far in Little Nightmares 2 as I possibly can, but I highly doubt I'll be able to get through the entirety of Little Nightmares 2 the way I was able to finish the first Little Nightmares in one stream. So we'll probably do that this week and next week. And then Sunday, Superliminal. Because I bought that some time ago. Because I saw bits and pieces of lots of people playing it. And it looked super interesting. And I can't wait to get stumped by some of the... it is a puzzle game, right? By some of the puzzles. Big fan of Spider-Man for PC. Yeah, I keep passing it up on sales on PlayStation. I'm like, no, I don't really think it is a thing for me. On the other hand, maybe just swinging around the city would be nice. But I keep passing it up like, no, I have so many other games already. You're trying to 100% it? Ooh. I think there's lots of collectibles in there, isn't it? But yeah, that is the plan for the rest of the week. Frankly, Little Nightmares 2 is going to be the last active horror game I'm actively choosing to play because of its horror elements for October, for Spooky Month, because I look through all of my games. And yes, I own a few more horror games, but Yomawari went okay-ish, but I don't think it's as fun. With me struggling to get through a game, it's just not as fun. So I'd rather play games I know I can do than struggle to get through a horror game where everyone else would be like, it's not that bad. But I'm just sitting here like, it is that bad. Lots of suits. Oh, okay. I'm not actually that into Spider-Man. The most Spider-Man I have seen is I've seen Into the Spider-Verse. I've seen 2 of the ones with Tom Holland. The first and the third one. I'm missing the one in the middle. And I've seen... oh god, I don't know what his actor was called, but the Spider-Man where he fights against the scaly guy who gets turned into this... or who turns himself into that kind of lizard person thing. I saw that one many years ago. I don't know if it's Andrew Garfield. I have no clue. I have no clue, but yeah, that's about all I know of Spider-Man. Like the most knowledge of Spider-Man I have is just Into the Spider-Verse. And then I own one Spider-Gwen comic, one of the new ones that I bought because it looked nice. And that's about it. The live action movies are pretty eh. Yeah. It's like comics. Spider-Gwen season, right? She's so cute. I'm just not a big comic person. If they were more accessible in the way of like, where do you need to get started with? Because I don't know, a manga just says, boom, here's volume 1, here's volume 2, here's volume 3. And comics, like, not all comics, but like the superhero comics, like Spider-Man and the Marvel stuff and the DC comic stuff, like you can't just go, oh yeah, I'll pick up Batman volume 1 because there's going to be like a Batman from 1974 and a Batman from 2005 and a Batman from blah blah blah, and then this backstory is a little different from that backstory, and this one is a little different from that, and this happens here, and this person dies there, and here he's dating this one. I'm like, please, enough. The multiverse stuff going on is not helping anything. Very true. Yeah, stories is very confusing. Exactly. So like, I'd rather have a manga where I can just go, that's chapter 1 and that's chapter 15 or 50 or 500, and you know. But it's okay. To each their own. To each their own. But yeah. That is going to be it for tonight. We managed to finish another game, which makes me very happy. We're gonna get started with 2 more new games this week. And hopefully I'll maybe be able to stream with a different microphone this weekend already. Fingers crossed. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope it will improve sound a little. Well, I mean, this one doesn't actually have a bad sound, but like actually make it so I'm not as like my volume is not as bad all the time. So so you guys don't need to turn up your volume all the way and then immediately turn it down once we rate someone, and literally every other person on Twitch is like so loud and loud. I'm like, here, hello, can you hear me? Hello. Just general story outlines of video games, even though I only know Spidey and Batman. Yeah, that's about it. I've actually seen the newest Batman as well, but that one was an experience. I've never, you know, one personal opinion before I leave. I think a movie should not be 3 hours long. There is no need for a singular movie to be 3 hours long or even longer. There is no need. You can tell a story in 1.5 hours maximum. 2 if I'm feeling generous. 2 hours if I'm feeling generous. But there is no need to drag out a movie for 3 fucking hours. I was sitting there, without spoiling, okay? But just, I was sitting there and 3 separate times I thought the movie would be over. Looked at the progress bar. And we were like halfway done. I was like, oh, another half hour. And then you thought, okay, it's gonna be over now. We did it, we're done. No, it's still 20 minutes left. I'm like, please, enough. It felt dragged out. Yeah, it's like, I have a lot of trouble sitting down for movies anyway. It's like, oh my god. I know it's funny. I know it's funny to be saying this, like, oh, I have trouble sitting down for a movie that's 3 hours long, but I can sit here and stream, I don't know, any of my Yakuza streams or the one time when we streamed Yakuza for 11 hours. But I was doing something there. Like, I was actively the one progressing the story. And stuff. And with the movie, it's just like, why are they not moving? Why are they... Lord of the Rings extended. I've never even seen normal Lord of the Rings. So I can't tell, but I have seen the newest Batman. So that was fun. Gotta admit though, he still looks extremely fucking young. What's his name again? Robert Pattinson does not look like he's aged much since I last saw him, and the last time I saw him was in the first Twilight movie. The extended one goes several times. Oh my god. I mean, hey, if it's fun, that's all good. But if it's an enjoyable 3 hours, I wouldn't have minded. But like these were just 3 hours where it felt like, okay, we could have been done. What else is there? What else do you have? Enough. Okay. Well, that is gonna be it for tonight. I wish all of you a very, very good night. I'm gonna set up right now, and hopefully I write their name correctly. Wait, I am already typing it wrong. Nano bite the. There we go. Thanks for the stream. No, thank you for coming. I wish all of you a very, very good night. Thank you for the stream. No, thank you. Oh, Artie, were you lurking? Why didn't you say hello? Good night, everyone. I'll see you all on Friday, a little later than usual. I hope not much later than the 9 p.m. my time, though. I'll definitely be like posting on Twitter if anything happens. That's gonna make me even more late or something. Ah, you were. Damn. Good night, everyone. See you all soon. And bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye.